John.
Hola.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Oops.
Everything is good.
Awesome. Where are you?
I'm in Lisbon.
Oh, nice. Awesome. How's this boa these days?
Well, at the moment it's raining, surprisingly.
There's always been a lot of wildfire problems in Portugal. It
Yeah.
seems like maybe rain is good, huh?
Yeah, no, I'm not complaining. I'm at home, so I don't mind much. But yeah, we had like in the last few years, there's been a lot of wildfires. So I think rain is very handy. People
Yeah.
complain because I think we are just used of having good weather anyway. So
Right.
people like to, well, you know how it is. People like to complain with anything.
They do. Yes, they do. My wife recently became a Portuguese citizen because she has some Sephardic ancestry, and they were offering people the dual citizenship because of some of the ancestry uh, association with what happened back in the last century, and it's cool. So she's actually she can be she's a Portuguese American citizen now, which is really
Good.
cool.
That's really nice.
Yeah,
It's
maybe
nice.
one day we can buy some property in outside Lisbon or something. That'd be amazing. I'd be
Yeah.
so stoked on that.
Yeah, no, it is, like property markets here, it's going crazy. So there is a lot of opportunities. Like if you have the money to invest or
Right.
something, there is great opportunities here at the moment. So
Yeah, they probably don't want a bunch of stupid Americans coming in and buying it up and driving the prices up, though.
no, we had that with the golden visas with, where luxury properties could be bought for in trade of, a citizenship or whatever thing it was called. And the prices in the city center just hiked like crazy, and it's becoming impossible. But outside the big cities, there is great opportunities.
Oh,
if
that's cool.
if people want to relax, there's great stuff there.
I want to relax. I want to relax.
and
Maybe not. Maybe not before, doing a Category 7 song in the studio. Maybe that's not the mentality, but right. But afterwards,
yeah.
the support though, yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, I remember when I went to you've been to Porto, and there they have the wine tastings there, near the river. And I remember like once I went there, like early in the morning, just had breakfast. So I went to a wine tasting during the morning. I couldn't walk after.
Rules. Well, you did. Then you had to just take a little nap and
Yeah.
then get ready for the night. It's a bummer because I've only played in Portugal once.
Yeah.
Once with Anthrax, which was a cool show back in '90. I think it was a Sound of White Noise album record, and then, or maybe it was Stomp, one of the two. And then Armored Saint has never played Portugal, which is just absurd. It's a shame. So,
We need to change that. We have
I
to
know,
change that.
I know, man, I know. It's so annoying.
We'll find a way to bring you guys. There's plenty of festivals now in Portugal. I'm sure if you guys are doing like a run where you play a festival in Spain, you know, it's easier to bring you guys. So,
Of course, and I'm sure we'd be great. And Saint has only played once in Spain. We played the Barcelona Fest,
yeah.
several years back now at this point. But yeah, it's just anyway. You don't want me being one of those people complaining right away. Yeah, so,
But let's talk about Category 7.
okay.
How these the bands started. I know they always wanted you as the singer for the band. Did it take a lot of convincing for you to join them?
It always seems like everyone's trying to convince me to do something. Maybe I sound like I'm like headstrong, and I don't know, like maybe I'm playing hard to get all these years. I'm really not. But I think for me, for like this example, I think it's just about really making sure that you like it. Really,
Yeah.
it really comes down to that. I probably would tell Armory Saint that if they came to me and I never played with them, and it's like, well, what does it sound like? Do I like it? And so I think that as a musician, you should. That's obviously the main thing is you should feel like it's something that you like and that you can contribute to. But I'm sure that most people would say, yeah, duh, dude, of course. But yeah, I think that's the important thing is just to really make sure that you feel like you dig what you're hearing and you also feel like you can contribute to it. And that's what it was with these guys. Phil said, we have to sing. Are you interested? I was like, well, I don't know. What's it sound like? I had kind of an idea. And I wasn't sure it wasn't like going to be some like bluegrass folk music, although that could be cool.
Yeah.
It's like, send it to me. And then so I did. And I was like, whoa, this is cool. So I tried to work on it and said, let me try to write some stuff and see if I'm doing it is in the right direction for what you're hearing. And we did. We wrote a couple songs. I think the first song we wrote actually was In Stitches. The one vocally is the one I wrote. I think it was. And that song's killer. It ended up being the first video. It's the first song on the record. And it really kind of sets the tone for what you're going to hear. And it's great. It's a great song. And it got the ball rolling. And then once we wrote it was like, write a couple more. And then they sent me a couple more. And it's like, write a couple more. And next thing you know, it's like, we had enough for a record. And it's here it is now. It's pretty much done and ready to come out. And it's exciting.
Yeah. One of the things that surprised me a lot on this record, first of all, it's always a pleasure to hear your voice on an album. No matter, what band project it might be, you always make it sound good.
Thank you.
For a start. But one thing that surprised me a lot was the guitar work on the record. There is some amazing melodies and guitar solos on this album. And, I was listening to it and I was like, okay, this is like trash, but it's not like the classic trash. It's something that's going on here. And it sounded just so great seeing like Mike and Phil doing the work on the guitars. It's pretty amazing. And for you as a singer, obviously melody is important. Did when they present you with a song, with a skeleton of a song, for you to put the vocals in, normally the arrangement changes much after, or can you work around normally when they give you the skeleton of a song?
Well, most of it kind of stayed the same. When you get something, you kind of figure out, okay, well, that's a verse. That sounds like a chorus, maybe a B section, maybe a bridge area, or the lead could be within question. So I kind of get it was like, what's the basic arrangement? Like Mike would send me like a map of like the arrangement. So I'd say, okay, he goes, but you could change this here, you could do that here, we could change it, anything you want to do. So then I would run with it. And, I guess the thing is for when you're playing heavy metal music, especially at this kind of speed at times, is that trying to find space, because that's the thing is it's funny because I think space is a really important thing in a lot of circumstances. Like I'm a big sports fan, a big basketball fan, and hockey, my son plays. Obviously, football is a really big thing, and all over the world. But what's the important aspect of all those things too is space. Like if everyone's together, how are you going to move the ball around? You need space. You need people spaced out. And I think it kind of goes the same with making music like this. Like those guys are such great skilled players, and you could almost overplay, which they don't do. But I think you could. And then the idea is like, where do I put vocals here? Because unless you kind of try to match the intensity, which some people do, and they do that very well, and it's pretty awesome. But for me, especially kind of the roots of the way I sing and the style, it's always going to be a little bluesier. So it's about trying to find that space and placement and things like that, and where you're going to come on the beat and all those things. And that's what you have to figure out. And that's where you have to be creative. And in the end, I think it worked out really well, but it could be challenging when it comes to making this kind of music. So that's what I tried to do, and let the style come through, and then let the songs kind of just take shape. And they do anyway, naturally, from when you add vocals to them, for sure.
Yeah. And you were talking about that. And for me, it's one of the important things about music. You say space. I normally say room to breathe because, you know,
We all need that. We all need that.
and for me, the music it needs to breathe. There needs to be a space for everything. And sometimes we see with new bands, it's a style. You know, I'm not saying that it's bad or it's wrong or anything, but sometimes it's also like on top of everything. It's so like kick you in the face all the time that you just get tired and you tend to switch off. And for me, the music needs to grab me, catch my attention, and lead me. Otherwise, you're going to lose me if you don't create a breathing room in a song. And I think that's one of the great things you guys have on this record because everything breathes. It's not stressful.
Yeah, and again, a lot of that is all based on arrangements and dynamics, and that's the whole thing about making music is how do you elevate something? If something starts on 10, where do you go from there?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of, especially black metal bands and death metal bands, and that they start on 10 and they just stay at 10, and it's still is effective.
Yeah.
And kudos to them, but it's like usually you want to have peaks and valleys in songs if you can, without losing the intensity, especially when it comes to heavy metal music. But yeah, that's the challenge, I think, and that's what makes a great song, is to be able to find ways to peak things and drop them without losing intensity. And it's not easy, actually. And you can do it, by adding more vocal parts or guitar parts or less. And that's the fun part of arranging songs, and it's also really important in the mixing. So and Mike mixed it, and he's just really talented dude. He's an awesome engineer, killer guitar player, of course. Probably really one of the driving forces behind this thing. And it was funny. I didn't even know him, and so we kind of got to know one another by just exchanging music and ideas. It's like I don't even know this guy, so which is cool because it was almost like you're developing this relationship through music, which I guess should be really kind of viewed as a way to do it. Instead of like we're buds and let's do this thing. It really wasn't like that. I didn't feel, but not really well. And I barely had met Jason a couple of times, same with Jack. So it's I kind of think it's cool to do it that way, in contrast to just everybody's bros and you just have this relationship. So.
Yeah. And sometimes when you're talking about bros, you tend to slack a bit because you're comfortable with one another. And okay, if you don't do this now, we can do some other time. But when you're getting serious into a project and a band, you probably need to keep on your toes and I need to do the best I can instead of if it's not good today, maybe tomorrow or something.
That's funny. Yeah, it's yeah. I think in regards to at least this particular project, it's letting things kind of just develop and see where you go from there. And it's funny. I probably, as somebody, God, I mean, I even don't even like saying this, but like my thought process probably before I even got any music was like, how do I tell these guys I don't want to do this? And that's usually because I'm just somebody who like doesn't like to do a lot of things. It's nothing really personal. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. Like when I resumed with Armored Saint back in like '07, and we started writing songs, and I was kind of selfish to the degree of saying I'll do it, but on my terms. And I had two kids growing up. They were little kids, and basically my wife and I made a pact that I was going to be around, and I didn't want to like really be gone a lot, and I didn't want to miss a lot of time with them because to me it was pivotal those early years. And I was like I'm okay with stepping away from music for a bit. And even this guys in Saint were probably like, but we want to work more. And I didn't like say you can't, I just kind of insinuated it as like, this is what I'm willing to do. Time has changed that a little bit. My kids are now 17 and 19. My daughter is just in college now, so she's not even here. She's here now for summer, but yeah, so things change a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
the only drawback with that too is I'm older, so that's definitely one downside to it, because I'm 60 years old now, so now I have to like I still got it, but it's a little harder sometimes. But I didn't mean that to the guys in category 7 about like I don't want to do this. It was more like to me it's always a little daunting of the more I take on,
Yeah.
and it's probably my own head trip more than anything else. But once I heard it, I was like, oh, well, that's really good. I should probably work on this, and so which was cool because it kind of convinced me without putting any too many premeditated thoughts. It's like the music is there. It's undeniable. So work on it.
Yeah. And lyrically, it's kind of hard to stray away from what's happening in the world right now. Because we seem to be going backwards with everything. I don't know what the fuck is happening, to be honest. It's just I tend not to watch the news that much, and when I do, I feel miserable. So for you as an artist and as a lyricist, a musician, is it hard to stay away from current events and not getting inspired to write about it?
Well, today's the debate and the American
Yeah.
presidential debate. So you'll get some really good comedy there, if you're ready looking for something to laugh at. It should be amusing. Um, no, I can't. I have to dive right into it. That's what's helping. Okay, you look at the world and all the different things that are going on. It would be weird to shut off. I guess that could be approach to writing lyrics is to go completely away from it. That would probably be good. Sometimes I don't want to read the news. And then there's times when I want to read everything, but I still get the newspaper. I get the Los Angeles Times delivered to me. The newspaper industry is a dying industry. I don't know much about in Europe, probably is too,
Yeah.
but but I don't always want to get my news here on the internet. I don't always want to do that. I don't want to do everything on this. I love the computer. It's cool. Like here we are having this, which 15, 20 years ago, we'd be doing this. This is like science fiction, right?
Yeah.
Now we don't even think about it. Zoom talks. Um, but like, I don't only want to get one source. And people who know me know I'm pretty opposed to social media. I don't have any. Sometimes the people in my record company and my manager are like going, dude, you got to have your own page. And I'm like, I don't want to. I'll do every interview. I've got 8 of them today. So I was like, I'll do every interview, but I don't want to be posting shit all the time. I don't care. Like, I just don't want to. It just doesn't really inspire me, actually. So, I don't know, whatever. I think that I actually think social media has done way worse for society than anything positive for it. I'm sure there's a few things, but in all, I think it's pretty bad, really. And I see my kids, and we're all like this, man. It's like that's society. We're like living like this. It's
Yeah.
really terrifying, actually. But as far as the world events, it's impossible not to see them. It's a crazy time. I think it's this. It's not. You can't just like residing in the middle, which used to kind of, I think, kind of allude to people being indifferent, is actually a good place. Because I think if you're in the middle, you're kind of broad-minded. You may be everything. You might be open-minded to do different views. It's not like that now. It's like you're either here or you're here.
Yeah.
And if you're here, you ain't here. And it's like, man, you know what? I might have a different view. Yeah, I might think all this way on this 10 different topics, but on these 3, I think this way.
Yeah.
Like, why can't I do that? Why can't I think that way? Why do I have to say I have to think all this way or I have to think all that way? It's like, to me, that is people manipulating you on both ends. And why I don't want to be manipulated like that. So, I mean, truthfully, I hate politicians, all of them, really. So like, I mean, I go back to, politicians hide themselves away. They only started the war. I mean, come on, man. The War Pig lyrics to this day are some of the best lyrics of all time. as far as crossing time frames, from when it came out in 70, I think, and to this day, it still relates, and
Yeah.
it will for another 100 years. So, um, I don't know. That's how I view it,
Yeah.
So,
And the thing with social media, it just becomes, I'm going to be 50 in a year time. I grew up in the 80s. I mean, we didn't have internet. We didn't have anything. I mean, for me to know something about a band, I would go to a record shop to know what records were out, would buy probably a magazine, went to a concert with my friends, and we would talk about, what we were listening, what was new. That's how we found out about things. These days, everything is there, and even when it comes to debates of not enjoying some kind of band or artist, we would be face to face, and you wouldn't run away and say you're a pile of shit, you don't know, you don't understand nothing. But now you go on the internet, you can type whatever you want and get a free ticket. you know? And if back in the day, if you would if you would curse to someone or say something really offensive, I mean, you'd be punched in the face. Probably. I'm not saying that was a nice thing, but you would be face to face with people and would be more open to a discussion, and probably would understand different sides that you probably wouldn't agree. But nowadays, you cannot do that. It's impossible to talk with anyone.
well, and I mean, you're a reporter, journalist, right? You're a writer. That's who used to be making decisions about thoughts or inspiring people one way or another. I love it. I hate it. Oh, really? He doesn't like it. I won't like it. There's power there.
Yeah.
Now everybody is. Everybody's a journalist and reporter, because all you got to do is add your comments when the circumstance approaches, and you can do that. I don't know. Maybe there's a plus side to that, because maybe you're getting a vast perspective, but do they really know, or they're just an opinion, and we're all just opinions on stuff. So like, who really cares? But I don't know. Like, I just, it should be something where people feel like, you should be able to give your 2 cents about something, but what happens, I think, sometimes in the digital world with social media and stuff, is that there is a veil here. Like, you don't know who's saying it. It's kind of a secret. So like you said, if you're in a bar and you're having this discussion about, a band, it's over a couple beers, and maybe even it gets a little bit hostile, you still would have to like be face to face
Yeah.
with someone. Dude, you're talking smack about, Megadeth, I'll kick your ass,
Yeah.
And so, like, I mean, at least it was a engaging moment
Yeah.
of having human contact. Whereas, it's like some stuff people write, I can't believe what they're writing, whether it's whatever it's about.
Yeah.
I just can't believe that people are willing to say that kind of stuff, because you probably wouldn't say that face to face with somebody. But here you can do that because you're behind the veil of it. And I don't know, it's just crazy. It's a weird world. It's so like, it creates this kind of false, bravado that people can have. Whoever it is, it could be, a woman. It doesn't have to be just guys. It could be a lot of people that write stuff. And I'm just like, man, you got a lot of balls for saying all that stuff, but you probably wouldn't do that in person. So I relate to that. I agree completely. I
You
don't
know,
know.
I remember, years ago when I used to do like commentary for WWE in the sports channel here in Portugal. I remember when I started, people were really bad towards us because they said like, "Oh, I prefer the original commentary. I mean, you guys suck." And I was like, "Have you listened? I mean, what are we doing bad? Tell me, how can we improve?" And they wouldn't say anything. They would just say, "I prefer the original to you." And
Well, I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
and then when we met face to face, and they explained, and I told them my background and where I came from and what I'm doing it, they would say like, "Okay, you're a cool dude. Thank you. I'm going to listen from now on." And that was it.
Right. Well, because most people, if you became a reporter, journalist, you had to go to school. You can find out about writing. You're not just some lunatic or
Yeah.
person who just is I mean, that might be interesting too, but you usually had to go, you had to get some education in it. It wasn't like you just all of a sudden said, I'm going to write now. And,
Yeah.
which is okay too. I mean, it's okay. It doesn't have to be a particular method,
Yeah.
but I don't know. The negativity is a bummer. And look, I'll read some stuff sometimes. There will be 10 posts about something and they're all pretty positive, and then that one person writes something bad. Like I always say, as long as he's funny, as long as a person's funny, if it's negative to me, I'll laugh. But you got to be witty. You can't just write something mean and hostile, and then I'll just say you're a douche. But if you're funny about it and you bust my balls, I'll probably laugh. So that's my own thing. That's my own kind of parameters. Like you got to be amusing about it. So, and I don't need to have people just constantly kiss my ass either. I don't need that. I really don't read a lot of what I do. I'm doing all these interviews. I'm sure I won't like go back and read all these interviews I did because I said it. So why am I going to go back and read it? But I don't know. Like my buddy of mine used to say that back in the day. Don't read your press clippings. That was a term, and I agree with it still to this day because I don't need to go. Yeah, look at me. I look at all the good things people say because then you get the one bad thing. You're like, oh my God, I'm crushed. So you just kind of do your thing, and if as long as you believe in it, then it doesn't really matter. And that's kind of how I see it. In my career, I never quite got to that level. I just never did. But I'm always real proud of all the stuff I've done. And so that to me is all that really matters. I don't necessarily have to be like, it has to be at this level. I just have to, believe in it. And that's good enough for me. So,
yeah. And, just wrap it up. And, just going back to that, every 10 good things they write about you, normally you tend to focus on the one bad that's there.
It does. It's true. It's true.
We forget the good reviews. When there's a bad one, that one stings.
It does. No doubt about it. Without a doubt, for sure.
Just to wrap it up, I know you got more interviews to do. When it comes to Category 7, obviously this is a project that's a band. Do you think you can play live shows? But I mean, everybody has a band. They all have other things to do. Phil is with Kerry King now. Still with Armored Saint. The other guys are still busy with their other bands as well. But you still think there's a possibility you can play these songs live?
Yeah, I mean, I think that everybody would love to play them live. It'd be weird to not. So it's just about fitting it in schedule-wise with everything that's going on and everybody else's schedule. And I'm sure at one point, we'll perform. I think it's, to me, it's strategic. It'll be about playing the right stuff. It won't be about necessarily getting in and doing 30 dates. Like if we were all 22 and, we'll share a band together. And, like, I don't think anyone's going to do that because we're just, and not we're above it, but everybody has traveled and toured a certain level and, to go to regress to, I just at this age, I just say no, but it doesn't have to be, we're only doing stadiums opening for the biggest bands. I don't think it's that either. It's just, let's play the right strategic gigs and shows. And then it'll be like, cool. I can't wait to see this band. It'll probably create a big, a lot of hype, and then we better live up to it. So.
Yeah, very good. John, thank you very much for your time. All the best for Category 7, Armored Saint, whatever you put your voice on. As I said in the beginning, it's always nice. It's always a pleasure to hear your vocals on music. So all the best. Muito obrigado. And I hope to see you soon. All right.
So much, Jorge. Great interview. It was real fun talking to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you around. Bye-bye.
Bye.